Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and this week's episode of Small Town Slashers is unofficially sponsored by the Master Infiltrator perk from Fallout 76. Don't ask why. You just go back and check your stuff in about an hour and you'll find out.
Uh-huh.
Anyway,
You
what's
may
up,
be
dude?
missing some water there.
Yeah, maybe.
Mm.
So what's up, guys? How y'all been?
Just trying to stay busy as best as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I was going. Well, I'm feeling a lot better right now. I went spent like almost 10 hours editing, and I'm like, man, I'm getting a headache, and I'm like, but I brought snacks. I don't know why, and then I've been drinking Powerade to drink healthier, and it turned out I was getting a real bad caffeine headache.
Well, yeah. I mean, it sucks that you have a headache, but you showed us a little bit of what you edited today, and it looks absolutely killer, man. I love it so far.
Thank you. I don't. I
Yeah, the
don't.
trailer came out really good.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to change too much, if anything. But my plan is whenever we like right before we head out to Horror Hound to just go ahead and start uploading it.
Oh yeah.
Nice. You were talking about last time, possibly getting it sent to a movie theater.
Mm-hmm.
How'd that go?
Pretty good. I said I talked to the guy. I'm going to try and send him like a rough cut of the film tomorrow. Tomorrow, and I just gotta tell him we weren't able to get to film some filler scenes to explain the plot, like the plot, because one of the people we were going to shoot with had an emergency. But we did end up getting this one shot that has been an unbelievable pain. Like it was like the most unexpectedly hard shot I've ever had to face.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm gonna say yeah, our secondary sponsor is Taylor. Thank you so much for
Oh yeah.
helping us out with that scene. You're an absolute rock star and a lifesaver.
Yeah, she rules. Yeah, Taylor's my cousin, and she actually makes some other cameos in the movie. We filmed like a bit during the reshoots, but I mean she's got so much going on. Like my grandma's the person who usually looks after my grandma is actually in the hospital now right now, and so Taylor's been watching after her. I didn't know like she had a real bad car. She's having like real bad car troubles and everything, and like we was like once the other person we were going to film had to cancel, and I mean it was actually unexpected. They ended up they're having like a real bad like some trouble with a friend, or like someone close to the family. Yeah, I don't want to. I don't want to say too much on that end, but and they're like really apologetic. They're like, I don't know if I can do it today, and I'm just like, dude, just take it easy, be yourself. Definitely self care above all else. Don't try and force yourself to shoot. And so I was like, well, what are we going to do today? And I just messaged Taylor, and probably when we get into the meat of like the funny stories, I'll talk about like why I had to be a specific certain person to do this shot. But I was like, hey, this is super random, super last minute, but would you be free if we came to you to do the shoot because she hadn't been able to come up to Whitesburg where we were filming? And she's like, well, I would gladly do it, but we would have to meet. We'd have to meet at Granny's, which is like 45, 50 minutes from Whitesburg, I think.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, something like that. And the worst part is like the shot had to be at nighttime, and I was like, "Oh man, so this is going to be a journey." But we had a real good time. We got to go see my dad, my granny. Taylor's awesome as always, and my precious black corgi, Jake. That corgi is so awesome. I mean, you can ask Wolf. He was literally getting so hyped just hearing me breathe.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. He's like,
Do
he's
little
up
butt
in,
shakes for you. That's one of the
Yeah,
yeah,
things I love about Corgis.
like he just started getting so anxious and just kept like snuggling close to me and just like literally I just got and like he would just go wild and
he
it's
would.
like so surreal.
That he would. And it's always so good to run up and see your folks. It's always so fun. We have a great time every time we're up there. But today's episode, we've been asked to do this by quite a few of our friends because we have a plethora of interesting stories to tell from any time that we were shooting, anytime we were at cons, or just any of our misadventures in general. And they're like, man, we want to hear all of them. And I'm like, well, you got about, I don't know, 8, 12 hours you can spare. We might be able to touch on some of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. And like even with the haunts too, there's some great stories.
Oh, yeah, definitely. This isn't going to be the only fun stories episode that we do because, like I said, we have a ton. So we got a lot to pull from.
Mm-hmm.
Now the hard part, where do we start?
Oh yeah.
I mean, we could always start on the time I first met you, Wolf.
Oh yeah, we'll go ahead and tell that story as well. So we kind of talked about this in the last episode where I had like met Gun Bunny through Twitch, but the first time we had actually met in person was at the haunt. It was my birthday weekend, and he was gonna come up, he was gonna hang out, and just kind of goof off and shit together. And I'm like, well, that's
We were
cool.
actually trying to get it where I helped out with the haunt too,
Yeah,
but with everything, I couldn't make it down in time. Let
yeah,
alone, I think she said she had enough actors that night.
yeah. Um, so we were gonna do that. So Gun Bunny got there. I don't know. I would say what was just about 2 hours into the haunt, 2 hours at the door open, something like that.
Maybe, I think so.
And so we have a specific thing in the haunt. I'm not gonna say what it is, but it kind of lets people downrange. About halfway through the haunt, we are made aware that hey, somebody's coming down. That lets the person in front know, hey, they made it to the halfway point. Go ahead and send the next group in, and so on and so forth. Whenever Gun Bunny came through, he did not trip the alarm. He didn't trip the alarm at all. But we're in position and everything. I was in the last room with another actor, and I'm just kind of sitting there in my spot, and I had a gas mask on.
And you had told me to like listen for Russian, and you know that would be you.
Yeah,
I didn't hear it because I did trip those alarms.
yeah. So like once those alarms trip, we're ready. We're okay. Here we go. They're on their way and all that stuff. And my character at this time, it was like a Russian. Well, not really Russian. Gibberish disguised as Russian because I had a gas mask on. Make it a little bit more intimidating and shit when I come out and yell at you. But through my tinted lenses on my gas mask, I'm just standing there, minding my own business, kind of waiting for the alarm to sound, and I see a silhouette just pass right by us and go straight out the door, and I'm like, what the hell? Was that one of ours, or was what? And the other actor and I are just looking at each other like we don't know. Well, then about another hour goes by. Gun Bunny comes through again and doesn't trip the alarm again.
I may be a big guy, but I could be a ninja.
And like just goes on straight through again. I'm like, what in the hell? I don't understand this. So everybody's freaking out. We're honestly thinking that we're getting spied on. Because believe it or not, that is the thing that actually happens. Everybody's going around spying on stuff, how they do this, and all this other stuff. And we want to try to keep everything as private as possible to let people, enjoy the experience and things like that. But, yeah, everybody's like, oh, we're getting spied on.
Nope, it's just me.
Yeah, we found that out once the haunt ended and I came outside and there was Gun Bunny by his car. And I'm like, hey, it's Gun Bunny. And he was like, yeah, I went through twice. I just went through and really didn't say anything. And I'm like, son
And
of
I
a...
totally told the dude with the chainsaw That was in the room with you?
Yeah.
Hi.
Right? And I was like, son of a bitch, that was you. Because I watched you tell him hi, and I'm like, oh man, that was the best. So yeah, that was the first time I had ever met
Mhm.
Gun Bunny. Was at the hunt, and we thought we were being had.
Uh,
It was a good
good
time.
times.
Absolutely. I'll hand the reins over to one of you guys. Let you guys tell the story because I feel like I'm a little too long-winded at some points.
Oh no, you're fine. Especially compared to me. I couldn't when I really get to telling stories.
I think that's the best part of it in a way. I don't know. I guess I'm just a little be quiet on myself, you know?
hmm
Yeah.
But I
I
feel
know.
like when we're trying to tell stories, it's like we all just want to listen to the stories anyways. We don't want to interrupt.
Yeah.
hmm Yeah, no, I had a good. I had a real fun time listening. Let's see. I'm trying. I'm trying. Okay. I guess. My favorite, or at least for me, a funny story is like when we shot the record store scene like in Hermarsha, and we did not the I you know we didn't close we didn't close it down that wasn't even discussed we were just like, hey, can we film this scene, and it was like basically this is a real life argument I heard which somebody was talking about to Tool, and he's like, man, it's really awesome, like that guy's like such a legendary musician, to have two successful bands, and I thought he was talking about A Perfect Circle. And he's like, yeah, and they did that song for the Dragon Ball Z movie. And I'm like, wait, they did? And he's like, yeah, that song changed. And I was like, you mean Deftones? And he's like, yeah, it's so amazing. Like, that guy's like such a gifted vocalist. And I'm like, no, that's two different guys. And he's like, no, it's the same guy. Look it up. And I'm like, no. And so anyway, that was like a real life conversation to tell people. Someone actually thought Tool and like Deftones, the singer, was one and the same. So and like the guy was like he got a bit heated when I was just like, no, it's not. There's even a song where they sing together, Passenger. And and that guy was like, "Well, I thought it was, yeah, he's doing both vocal line, And I'm like, what? It's just really weird." But anyhow, so I had the idea to make because like the whole thing of her Marsha was taking things and just amping it up to 11, and so
Yeah.
I had the skit where the villain of the film just goes in and looks for a record, but the store owner is a Tool is like a snob, and he hates the band Tool. And so I'm like, and so I'm like, what could be even funnier is if like while they're arguing, another guy comes in to rob the place, and then and then the villain of the film has a gun, and then the record store guy also has a gun. So it just turns into like a big shootout that started. But like even more comedic, like the robber, like even the like they even like ask the robber his opinion on like the uh, but anyway, so yeah, so we didn't close it down, and so we're walking around with fake prop guns that all look real, and some of them shoot CO2 because like when I buy prop guns, I'll buy like CO2 guns, and then I'll dismember like the magazines, or like I'll find a way to make them unable to shoot.
Yeah.
Except for the air. But so we actually met this filmmaker from Sweden who just so happened to be like in town, and maybe people in the city might not think that's weird, but like when you're in a small town that's like just over 2,000 people, it's like really bizarre. So yeah, she came in, and we're out walking around with guns and stuff, and had a pretty good conversation with her. And then one of our friends just walked in, and it's actually in the blooper reel. Like as soon as I walk in, like as soon as I walk in, like, oh, it's Jade, and then like and then like two people just come out, just come out of the corner with guns and just start shooting shooting air at him. Like I said, like,
Yeah.
oh, it's like or scissor, like, oh, it's Jaden. They just open fire. Um, and there was like customers coming in, like while like even when we were doing the blood stuff, there was like someone bleeding on the floor, and like people were coming in shopping for records.
Like there's no don't worry about it. There's just a body
Yeah,
there.
but I was like such a good day, and especially what it meant for the movie because like it was like really because like we were just like really getting back into it, and so it was like the big triumphant return,
Yeah.
and the two people who played the store clerk and the robber were actually in this like two piece punk band, and so we got to kill this band, and like one of them actually used to be my boss, and he was going to die in Fallen Souls, and I I forget. I don't know what came up, but but like we were so close to getting to film his death scene, and like I'd even saved the money to buy all these hot dogs because he's going to get like stabbed in the gut, and it was just going to be like a bunch. It's going to be a homage to old slasher deaths, and it's just going to be like a bunch of meat and stuff coming out. But anyway, like after that, he'd be like, "Hey, when you gonna kill me, Oakley? When you gonna kill me, Oakley? When you gonna kill me, Oakley?" And so finally, I just happened to be walking down the street, and he's like, "Hey, when you gonna kill me?" And I'm like, "Would you be free in 2 weeks?" And he's like,
Right now.
"Yeah, yeah." And so we did it, and he also he's the one who came up because like when they were arguing the like the the villain gets it mixed up, because like the guy's like, oh, because like the clerk's talking about how he hates Tool fans, and he's like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, and he's like, oh yeah, name a single song besides Sober, and so he names Judith, which is by their band, by by the singer to Tool's other band, A Perfect Circle. And so, anyways, my old boss was just like, "Why don't you say no, dude? That's 9 Inch Nails." Just to make it even more absurd. And like, um, so not only was that such an awesome day, and I'm sure Wolf's got some pretty good some stories about that day too, because that's also one of my favorite lines he's ever delivered comes from, where it's like, "You're 9 Inch Nails."
You're 9 Inch Nails, absolutely.
Yeah.
And speaking of like our friends that are in the band, one thing that we'll commonly do too with well, not only we'll try to get them all on the podcast and stuff as well. But if you stream, if you have any kind of art, if you do your own like clothing designs or anything like that, if you're in a band and all that, we will totally feature your stuff in our films, and we don't ask money, we don't ask for anything, we don't ask for any kind of like shout us out or stuff like that. We want to give back to the people that support what we do. So oftentimes, yeah, keep an eye out in our movies and stuff. You'll probably see some of your stuff because we
Most definitely.
we love doing that.
I feel
Oh yeah.
like it really brings the close knitness that we try to bring forward into the films. Like we want to support small time and big time, but it's more of the small time ones that deserve it more, and almost like it's like we don't care to do it because we want to support you as
Absolutely.
well.
Mhm.
Gun Bunny, do you have a story that you would like to share?
So with haunts, like we've talked about uh the whole uh God thing last one, but some of the things you hear people say in haunts is even funnier.
Jesus Christ, yes.
And I know Wolf has a story with this too.
Yeah.
But so I'm in one of the rooms and I'm dressed as like this giant hillbilly dude who's covered in blood. And my thing was that I was a cannibal and I was gonna chop them up and eat them. So I'd go into my bed, and I had this one person be like, "Yeah, my boyfriend eats me up all night," and I'm like, "Oh God,
Oh.
TMI, TMI, too much information."
Oh, Billy.
Yeah, and it's like, really, you would just say that to a random person?
I don't know. I guess
Uh,
like people are like, yeah, listen at me be witty, but like if they could, especially if you're wearing a mask, if they could see your face beneath the mask, even though you're in character, you'd see the look of, what the hell?
right? And I feel like that's how it was. Like, I don't even know if I said anything after that. Like, it just stopped me. Like, what?
Yeah,
uh,
you get a lot of those.
most definitely. I know Wolf's was pretty funny too.
Oh yeah, I'll get into that one. I'll get into that one now. I know there's one that I want to tell tonight too because like somebody said that they really wanted to hear it. But yeah, this group of dudes came through and the guy in the back, he was wearing a dress, which I have absolutely nothing against, by the way.
Which
They're,
I never saw them because I had this mask on that constantly was fogging up.
yeah. Like, I can't say anything about it, though, because there's some behind-the-scenes photos of me in a dress because we found one, and I'm just like, fuck it, I want to put it on. Take pictures. But,
I've seen the picture too.
right? But, yeah, he came through, and it was a group of them, and they were all, I'm going to assume, high schoolers or maybe early college. Something like that. But anyway, they're going through and all this other stuff, and I come out, I do my bit, and I was wearing my Legion mask, which we also forgot to mention. The props that Gun Bunny and I make, the Legion mask that I am wearing in the logo, that is also handmade by us as well. So there's four of our things that we've made there.
Oh yeah, I completely forgot about that.
I did
In the
too.
logo.
But I was wearing that, and I come out and start doing my bit, and I'm a very physical and vocal actor, like Gun Bunny and I both are. We come out, we start doing our usual shtick, and I'm talking to the people and all that stuff. And I think I say, I want your skulls or something like that. Look at all these. They're going to add so much to the collection or some shit. I can't remember what I said because it's all improv.
Yeah.
But I point one of them out because he's like, oh, not me. And I'm the kind of person, if you point yourself out, I'm going to pick on you. Just, it's not malicious. Absolutely not malicious at all. This is kind of, the experience of being in a haunt, But I'll pick at him. So this guy's like, oh, not me. And I'm like, no, I want this one's skull, kind of thing. The guy in the back that's wearing a dress offered me his virginity in place of his skull. And I just kind of looked at him and was doing the Jason Voorhees, just kind of stare down like I'm breathing and I'm putting my moving my shoulders in with it and all this other stuff. But beneath my mask was the look of, ugh. No, I do not want that, sir. Thank you.
I'm honored that you offered it though.
Yeah. I appreciate the offer, but that's a hard no from me.
Yeah.
I'll take yours and your friend's skulls, though. I need some new decorations. But yeah, the things you hear are absolutely, well,
Most
either
definitely.
piss
And
you
I
off.
think like talking about how you were doing the Jason Voorhees like stare, I'm pretty sure that weekend we had been watching like how he does it and everything.
I think we did. Yeah, we did watch Kane
Yeah.
Hodder's documentary that weekend. But yeah, a lot of
Which
stuff
kind
you'll
of fits
hear.
into getting prepared for the haunt.
Yeah.
Mm.
You'll hear things, though, that'll piss you off, make you laugh, or just make you question everything. And that was one of the things that made me question literally everything. It
Yeah.
was like,
Uh,
did you think that would work, son?
Oh yeah. I've actually I do want to tell a haunt story, but later on, whenever it's my turn again, I do. Where you guys brought up Kane Hodder, I do want to talk about meeting him in 2010. and like also like a really nice wholesome thing he did for the person in front of me. Yeah, and but anyway, my one of my favorite haunt stories as well. Like I had this, like this flashlight taser, and then I had this extra like protective thing on it, so like it makes the noise, but you cannot. I mean, you can stick it to yourself, like the prongs can't hit you, and it's not the police taser. I guess I guess you would technically call it a stun gun, even though it just makes noise.
Yeah.
And so, that was my thing. I would jump out and do that, and I, and like so, like they would enter my room, and I would just stand there and watch them, and I would just make like subtle movements, because they can barely see me because like the lighting is just like flickering. And I kind of do like like the setup and then the whammy, and so so the whole time they get real tense when they get near me, because they go get real close to get to the door, and so they were like real tense because they're just expecting me to jump at them, lunge, throw something, and like I'd even raise my arm that didn't have the stun gun up, But anyways, once they enter the other room, there's usually someone there who would scare them in that, and then the like it was like actually kind of like U shaped. So when they came through the other door, what they didn't know was that there was this hidden wall. There's like this hidden wall thing I could jump out. So that's when I would jump out and hit the hit the stun gun, and like scare them. You also, I mean, you get people scare, I call that stuff, and I would say my favorite ones are the ones who accidentally would try to enter through that fake door, and they would just be face to face with me, and then they would just be like, which way do I go, and then I would just activate that to make them back up. Um, but this one guy, and I mean the whole time, like he's like, he's just trying to show off for his friends. He's like, oh, these guys are a bunch of like bunch of pussies. You can't scare me. And I mean, he's like, ooh, look at that guy. And I did the fake lunge. He's like, see, he said, see, he's too much of a bitch. He got stopped him dead in his tracks. And I'm like, oh, that's it, buddy. That's it. You know. And so by the time he's walking through the fake door, oh yeah, crap, I forgot. They out completely unknowing that I was bringing my stun gun. There actually is a shock pad on the other side of the wall. Like once they're coming back, once they're coming throughout that fake wall. Um, yeah, there's actually a shock pad where if you touch it, it shocks you. And so and so I decided I'm gonna really set this guy up. So I bust through it first. I'm like, trying to do like like when you're saying, oh, really, that's it, and that guy takes the bait. He gives me like he legit does like a kissy face and motions for me, and then that's when I hit that stun gun and I just swing my arm at him. I mean a full on swing, and he jumps back, and I forgot all about the shock mat. But he hits that, and and I just hear him scream, "Oh shit! He takes me! He takes me!" And just like took off running. I completely. I did not anticipate that, but I was like, I'm going to at least make him jump back.
Yeah, let him get his money's worth.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm pretty sure Wolf got hit with that wall a few times
All
during
the
the hunt.
time. All the time. Because that
I,
was like
I,
roughly in that same area. I'd back into it all the time. And it shot
Yeah.
me through clothes,
yeah,
too.
I it got me a couple times because like we was just talking about life, and especially where I was recovering from my injury. And also random shout out if anyone from the haunt is watching this. Thank you guys so much. Like that, because like I was trying to tough it out, but like it was so hard to stand, and like it still is hard to stand like on long periods of time where I got a broken foot. Well, it's healed, but it still hurts. They actually got me a stool I can sit on. So but anyways, before the stool, which is God's greatest invention on this green earth next to chicken strips. But but before that, like Wolf and I was like having a heart to heart with one of the other people, which I don't know I don't know if he's okay with getting name dropped, but he's also like in her movies. So we've actually filmed a really brutal death with him. But anyway, so I just tried to lean to like balance myself, and again I keep forgetting the shock mat was there, and I touched the shock mat. I'm like, oh, and I'm like, oh yeah.
Yeah, that happened quite a bit.
Yeah.
Because I would forget it's there.
And actually, with your taser, when I was playing Leatherface that one night, I actually used that as my cue for when people would be coming near because I was close to you.
Uh huh.
So I'd be like, when I heard that go off, I'm like, all right, they're coming. And it's funny,
Mhm.
some of them actually would go back towards you.
Mhm.
They
Yeah.
didn't want to come into my room at all that night.
Oh man, I can't because like I didn't let anyone know, like actually both times, which now that like, oh my god, like we've I've worked there 3 different years, and once was like in 2017, and then I don't know what or maybe 2018, but I did 2019 and 2020 at back to back, or no, 2020 2021 back to back.
Yeah, you and I did
Um,
the first one back in early 2019 because that's when they did the Bloody Valentine one.
yeah. Anyways, like I didn't want to let my family know I worked that, because I mean not ashamed, but because I was like I was trying to just subtly drop on my because I and like my dream come true when mom was like, oh yeah, Isaiah was talking about the like this like haunted house, but right before you get to Whitesburg, and I'm like, oh, I've heard nothing but glowing reviews about it. You should really go, and I would just keep watching because like I swear to God, like, if my nephew had come through there, if it's where's someone I know, I would have legit just like ran up because like unfortunately because I'm his uncle and he might have outgrown it, but he used to have a fear about being grabbed and like pulled away. So like I wasn't gonna use the taser at all. Like when I came through the fake wall, I was going back. I was like, yeah, and grab him and like start pulling him back. But unfortunately, they ended up not doing it. But like the whole time, I just kept waiting. I'm just like, come on, please let me hear, please let me hear that sweet little voice, so I know, so I can get him.
It's always great when your family comes through a haunt that you're working at or one of your friends and you're like, oh man, here it goes.
Hmm.
Yeah. Uh I think your mom came the year I did the first time, and after that, I don't think she's been back
No, mom actually
because
has a really bad phobia of rats, and
yeah,
there's rats in the haunt, like fake rats. There's fake rats in the haunt, but yeah, where she's so scared of them, she's like, I can't do it. I thought you said they weren't in there. But to be fair, um, I
you
didn't
don't really
know.
see some of the rooms when
No,
you're in the haunt.
no. Usually you tell me to go to a place, and I
Yeah,
stay in that place. Like I don't get up and look around. Generally, the last night the haunt's open, that's the first time I see it in its entirety, cause I'll
yeah.
walk through it
Hmm.
then. Yeah. But Gun
Oh yeah.
Bunny, what?
Oh no, I was gonna say, oh yeah, I don't really, I ain't like I'm somebody like I really like seeing the anticipation, like the build up. So I would just kind of peek at like other people's rooms and I wonder what that's like, and then like because like I mean if it was up to me, I'd explore, but I never want to be the one to do that. It's like whenever your guys like, hey, let's go through it. I'm like, heck yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always worry about being out in a place where I don't need to be, and then the siren sounds like, "Hey, time to go," and you're like, "Oh
Uh
shit!"
huh.
So you gotta rush back and like
Right.
hope they haven't passed through your area already.
Hmm.
Gun Bunny, do
But
you
no,
have a story?
it's definitely a lot of fun with the haunt. Like, especially being a voice actor, you can really have a lot of fun with it.
Oh yeah. I remember there was at one point. I don't know what you were doing, but I could hear you from the other side of the haunt.
Oh, I know a bunch of times when I was, because most of the time I was at the end, so I would take my weapon and bang it, and it was on like a hollow plastic thing, so it sounded like a drum and everything. But it depends on what night, what costume it was, because there were sometimes I'd be like, "No, you will get no savior here," or something like that, you know.
I just
Uh,
remember hearing you scream at the top of your lungs.
oh, oh, that was so. I was playing the tortured plague doctor, where it looks like the skull had been like shoved on, and I literally would grab the back of the mask I'm wearing and make it sound like I'm being tortured and everything.
It was
But yeah, no,
it was eerie, man. You
that's
did
the
good.
mask. That was the mask that definitely very hard if especially since it's silicone, you cannot not sweat, but the lenses were the ones that fogged up.
Yeah, because it's got actual like glass lens
Yeah,
inserts in it, right?
yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I remember hearing you from the other end. That was the eeriest sound. You nailed that. You did really
Yeah.
good.
But
Um,
like even before meeting Wolf in person, like I've loved Halloween. Uh Pumpkin decorations. I go all out with my pumpkin carving if I carve pumpkins. So this one year I'm making a like a fake body to put on my porch. I make a lantern that I can use, and I'm a werewolf that year, or fox because I had a fox mask. So I have got the claws and everything. But that one wasn't even like my best year. The year after that, I actually got like a floating ghost animatronics, and I have like this small uh stoop of a front porch, but I fit so much into it. Uh, I have the dead body, I have everything else, but I have this animatronic, and I have these lights, and I do two tone, like blue and purple, up inside her, and then the fog machine, so it looks like it's actually flowing out from underneath her. But I was a eight, no, it was a 7'8" clown that year because of the costume I got, and where I do voices, I like to really mess with people. So as it's a clown, I'm like, I got to do like a really creepy like clown. So I was working on it that day of Halloween, and I'm like, all right, I've got this. So like I would sit still, and all of a sudden, like people would come up and be like, "It's candy! Wow, I made it myself. It's from his body."
I never get tired of hearing your voices. I swear, you absolutely nail them, my dude.
And like that's where I started. I was like, well, if I can do that, I can actually do some of the other kind of clown voices, like the Joker. But yeah, like
Absolutely,
that was one of my favorite Halloweens before even going doing haunts.
it's addicting. It's absolutely addicting.
Most definitely. And I'm not the type of person that'll be like, "Oh, can we get a picture with you?" and say no. I'll gladly come take a picture with you.
Oh yeah,
I want them to have fun with it. And that Halloween, I actually had people come up like, "Can you follow her around the parking lot? Chase her. She's absolutely afraid of clowns." So like I'd start walking out into the parking lot of my apartment complex, and this lady start running away as far as she could go. And like I didn't get far from my apartment, but like it was the fact that she was that scared of she would not come.
very nice. Very
But yeah,
nice.
like I always get let people take pictures and everything. And like and I know even in the haunts with like the younger kids, I try not to scare them as bad, especially if they're already crying. Like if they're
Yeah.
already crying, like you want to make it enjoyable for them still. So like I'll try and like give them candy if I'm handing out candy or not scare like I think me and Wolf we talked about this last time we had this one little girl come through our room and like she was kind of scared but like not horribly but we asked her to invite us like join our uh band of the undead pretty much.
Oh yeah, she was cool. She was really cool.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we handed her like, did we hand
I
her
think
something and she actually reached for it?
I think so. I'd like to say we went to go hand her one of the weapons.
Yeah, and she was totally gonna take it. I'm like,
Oh
yep,
yeah.
this one's going places. This one's cool.
And like I hope by doing that kind of stuff that we can encourage them to maybe start doing the haunts with us when
Oh
they get
yeah.
old enough. And then
Oh yeah.
pass that kind of joy of Halloween on, you know?
Definitely. Definitely. It's so much fun.
Oh
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Uh, I know the one story that I had mentioned earlier, and it's the story of honestly why I stopped acting for a while. There was
Oh, I remember this story.
so we had done this film a few years ago. I'm not gonna say what film it was, um, just because I want to put it that far behind me. Not so much the film, but everything that followed. Um, we posted the film, and it was it was okay. We started to get a little bit of traction with it, starting to gain some Instagram followers and all that stuff, and it was okay for a while. And then people started to get a little weird with it, like one of them had wrote a love letter to Oakley and tagged him in it, and this was in their bio, by the way. Somebody that we had never met before, had no clue who they were, and yeah, they just like kept demanding more and more and more and more and more and more from us. And I get that it's what we do, you know, we're actors, we're filmmakers and things like that, but when it gets to a point you start demanding things, I think that's overstepping a huge boundary right there. But for me, one of the things that did it was a combination of things. Like somebody, we think we know who it was, but somebody had hacked into my Instagram and was actually messaging people pretending to be me. So I thought that was kind of alarming. And you know, once I had found that out, well, I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. But really, one of the things that got me to want to disappear for a while was actually, yeah, kind of through Instagram. There was this one person that followed us, and she was okay for the time being. You know, she commented on all of my posts and liked all of my posts and everything. And I'm not, we're, like Gun Bunny said, we're not Mr. Untouchable. You know, we'll comment back if you comment on our stuff and things like that, you know, because we don't want to be that stuck up douchebag. But that was really as far as this particular relationship went. But she just followed me on Instagram and would like my stuff and comment, and that was it. Well, I'm home alone one night, and she shows up at my house. Not got a clue how she found out my address because I give my address out to like -3 people. So I'm like, what the fuck? This is so weird. Don't know how she managed to get it, but she showed up and I turned her away. I'm like, get out of here. Please never do this again. And I think we ended up getting like a restraining order. But yeah, after that somebody started hacking into my Instagram. I started noticing some weird activity with my Instagram. And once it came out that somebody was actually messaging people and pretending to be me, and we caught them doing it, I thought to myself, okay, so everything that's happened over the past week, it's untelling what's been sent to people, it's untelling what's been said to people. So I'm just gonna vanish for a little bit. So I just deleted everything. Everything on my old stuff is completely gone. Like, you'll never find any of it anywhere. It's out of here. And I disappeared for about 2 years. And what got me wanting to come back was obviously because I love doing what I do. It's a lot of fun. And I can't stay away from it, but I wanted to have a little bit of a safety blanket, if that makes any sense. Do it a whole lot more smart. Because whenever I had my old stuff, I wasn't concerned with privacy because I didn't think it would ever happen like this. So, Crazy Girl actually messages one of my good friends, and she's like, "Have you heard anything from him?" And he says no, which is bullshit because he and I talk, frequently, or we did at that time. We talked every day, and she said, "I swear it's like he's dead." I'm like, hey, if you want to start thinking that, absolutely, I'm fine with you feeling like that as long as it gets you to leave me the fuck alone. But that's when I started thinking, okay, maybe now's a good time to come back. So I slowly but surely came back into it, doing it a whole lot better, approaching everything from a smarter standpoint, and just keeping your privacy a main priority and stuff like that. And as recently as probably about 4 months ago, she had actually reached out to him again and was like, hey, I know this is probably crazy, but I've come to terms with the fact that I'm never going to speak to him again. And he is indeed probably dead if you're not hearing from him. I just hate that so much, but I've decided to move on, and I've got a relationship, and I'm happy for once. So I just wanted to let you know that. So thank you so much, and I will see you later. And I'm like, that's fine. I'm totally fine with that. Get the fuck away from me.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's weird. So I guess the moral of that story, because a lot of people had asked about it. There's a whole lot more to it that it's a can of worms that I really don't want to open on the podcast. But yeah, that's the story. The moral of it is, if you're gonna put yourself out on the internet, please be smart with it.
Most definitely.
I hope what happened to me never happens to any of you. That sucked.
Yeah, nah, yeah, because I do want to tell. After this, I'm going to tell the whole somewhat Kane horror story. Like I was like, it is like all that is so crazy, and it's something like I really. I've been trying to just more and more go by my last name, Fugit. Just just that like even if you can easily figure out my name, I don't care to say it, but like it's like it's also something like if I do that, people about, oh, there's a reason he's going by this name online. Maybe I shouldn't message him on his private, like a Facebook account. Okay. Just something like that. And just to further emphasize how creepy, and I mean, she just sounds so unhinged, like, especially just to keep randomly messaging your friend about, that stuff. But, like, I didn't know where Wolf lived until 2018, and we actually talked about this like when we were going to shoot with Taylor, and I mean it's it's just like one of those things like I don't really go around people that, hey, where you live at, and like Taylor's my cousin. I know the holler she lives in. I don't know where she lives. I've known her my whole life. Like since she moved in, like with some other family members. I don't know where she lives, and it's not. And I mean, it's just something like, I mean, like if we're ever hanging out, it's like, hey, you want to come hang out at my house? But yeah, sure. But but yeah, like, I've known Wolf since 2012. We're going on 10 years in like just a couple months. and I didn't know where he lived until 2018. And just something else for more people, just especially anyone who thinks like, oh, this could never happen to me. Modern technology is getting more and more scary. I'm not going to say who. I can find my relative's address by googling their name. There's just like as soon as you like it pops up and I can see their current address where they've lived at, and that is terrifying. But and so to brighten the mood from all this creepy, because I mean that's just there's just something there's just something like we actually talked about one of my favorite quotes from The Last of Us, and it's talking about this guy who's barricaded himself from like all the infected, like or zombies, whatever you want to call them. He's like, he's like those things don't scare me. They're predictable. It's the other people you got. It's always like it's the others you got to watch out for. And you're like, oh, because people can be terrifying. But
Definitely.
anyhow, yeah. So anyhow, whenever I met Kane Hodder in 2010, and actually I'll start off by saying I started my convention career getting insulted by Elvira, which is like one of the highlights of my entire life. If I'm being quite honest,
Wait a minute.
because
Insulted by Elvira?
Nice.
yeah, like she just so happened to be like standing okay, keep in mind I hadn't really been to Lexington that much, I was just a kid, or to quote Johnny Cash, I was just a baby. but anyhow, yeah. So I'm like, oh my god, what if I can't find where the convention is? I'm like, oh man, because the convention center looked huge, and so I'm like, I know, I'll just break, because keep in mind, 2010 Oakley was way more shy, way more reserved. Like I rarely spoke to anybody. So finally, after literally running up back and forth like through that hallway, I saw some random person and I run up to her and I'm like, "Excuse me, miss," and it turns around and it's Elvira and I'm like, "Oh, shit." And she's like, "Oh, hi, can I help?" And I'm like, uh, uh, "Do you know where the convention entrance is?" And she's like, just kind of took her a second to register, and that's when I'm like, "Oh God, like, please, for the love of God, like, just strike me down now, please. Just just explode my heart or something, make me fall over." But anyway, she's like, "Well, this might be hard to notice, but if you go all the way down that hallway and you hook a right, there's a big sign that says Scarefest Convention Center. You can't miss it." And just goes about her day, and I'm like, oh my god, I just looked like a dumbass in front of one of my idols. I This is a terrific day to start. And I ended up being so mortified that it took me until 2018 to get a picture with her, because there was no way I was going near her that then. I was like, oh my god. But anyway, so I'm in line to meet Kane Hodder, and I don't know if he still does this, but his pictures was he puts his hand around his neck and he chokes you. And not pretend to. He chokes you. And so, anyways, right before me, because I watched him, and I mean, again, this guy, it's like literally meeting my idol. Like so many
Yeah, he's
people,
a complete legend.
yeah, like so many people would freak out over meeting like Daniel Radcliffe, Elijah Wood, and I would too, honestly. But I mean, like Kane Hodder I was like, oh my god. It's like I'm that kind of fanboy. It's the Kane Hodder, you know, and so I'm just watching him take pictures, and I'm watching him, choke people. And there was this guy in front of me, like it was just like in a wheelchair. He actually had handlers that were like moving him, and so Kane. And so Kane, bends down and he takes the regular picture and he says, "You know what, buddy? I have never done this before, and I'm probably not going to do it again." And Kane picks the kid, the kid's hand up and puts it around his own neck. and like lets the kid choke him for a picture. And he's like, "There you go, buddy. Never done that for anyone else."
God love
And
his heart, man.
yeah, and just like talks to him for just for like 4 or 5 minutes, and I only got I only got one or two to two. I mean, because I mean his line was massive, you know, and so yeah, and so I met him, and I bought two autographs, and I mean I'm pretty sure he's just like I'm pretty sure I was just like one of the thousands, because I'm like, oh my god, you're such a big fan, oh my god, I'm such a big fan, oh my god, you were you stayed underwater for like nearly a day, you're so awesome. And I'm sure he meant well. It also kind of mortified me, but he's like, I love people like you's enthusiasm. It really makes my day. And I was like, oh, and of course I smiled, and I was also in my picture. It it hurt when he choked me, but it took everything in me to smile and give the thumbs up. That was like the most pain thumbs up I've ever had to give. And I mean, again, I'm such a fanboy. Like, literally, if he knocked on my door right now and asked if he could strangle me to death, I bet, you know what? Yeah, that's honestly one of the best ways I could ever go out.
Why, yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, and he said he admired my enthusiasm. I was like, oh my god, I overdid it. Oh my god, I must have been like so. Cringe wasn't even invented back then. In fact, that incident probably invented cringe, because I was like, oh my, yeah, but like, I worry. I guess I worry way too much. I mean, I worry so much about, because I guess I just had this phobia, because like like where I'm on the spectrum is, I have a phobia about unintentionally creeping people out. And so that, I mean, like, even like the first time I met Gun Bunny, we was doing the, we was in Pikeville, and I was still defying my doctor's orders and walking around. I was like, I hope I didn't seem too miserable to them, because I mean, I'm somebody. I mean, you can ask people I shoot with. Like, I would just be walking and stuff, and they'd be like, "How are you doing?" And I'm like, "In absolute pain. Actually, can we rest?" And they're like, "Well, if you need the rest, just tell me." And I'm like, "Oh no, I don't want to hold you guys up. Like, unless it's absolutely necessary. Like, no matter how much it's hurting, I'll just keep going until I can't."
No, we'll take care of you, man. If you need to rest,
Oh yeah,
absolutely
most
rest.
definitely.
But yeah,
Yeah, that
it's
convention
fun.
was actually the birth of Raw
It
for me, for my
was.
character. Uh, I kind of threw it all together. I think the week before the convention, and then the night before, I think we made the final part of it.
I believe so, cause yeah, I started printing. Yeah, I started printing your hook like the day before,
Yeah,
and then my Legion, I had worked on it for I don't know, a couple months maybe, with the most labor-intensive part being the knife,
yeah,
cause that was hard. That was hard to get right. But yeah, like for yours, like yeah, you had thrown yours together like the day before, and it was absolutely awesome. And it's so awesome that Raw is now a thing.
yeah, most definitely.
He helped make the haunt this past year.
Yep. Uh, and like I wasn't even thinking about wearing it because I really wanted to do the one costume for the plague doctor, but I needed to build wings, which we were working on, just never got that finished.
Yeah, they're still in the basement.
Yeah, we need to bust those out one day.
Absolutely.
Uh, but like we were getting close. We just couldn't finish them in time. And we were talking about like me being outside instead of being inside with the wings. And also talking about actually altering the mask too at that point.
Yep.
And I think that's when, because the first night of the hunt, I did the plague doctor mask with my giant halberd that I built, which is actually still at the haunt too.
It is.
Uh,
I think I still have the picture too of you like holding the blade just a few inches above my neck, just kind of laying there.
oh yeah, I
I've
don't
still
think
got
I've
those
seen
pictures.
that one.
I'll send them to you later.
Yeah, but so that was like the first night, and then the next night I didn't have the costume because we had altered it to the point where I couldn't wear it. So that's when the hillbilly slasher came out, and then I would switch between that and Raw.
It turned out well. Absolutely turned out well. I like, I like all the masks that you've got from Shattered Effects.
Yes,
The
they do amazing work.
Yeah, I was actually looking at one that's very similar to Roll that I may try to get at some point, and maybe we could like you and I could be in like our own room or something like that,
Demonic cult.
kind of like the own like they're both very similar. They're like the similar same
Oh,
type
is
of
it the one
mask.
with the like the eyes covered
Yes.
with the what? All right, yeah. So like I could be like the no speak. You could be the no see.
Oh yeah.
I know which mask you're talking about.
I think it would be fun to kind of play with that because you and I, well, the three of us just bounce so well off of each other
Oh,
anyway.
most definitely.
Mhm.
Like even if they put us in a room all together, we could actually and no offense, but thinking of that one story you guys were talking about the last time on the mountain where you guys were going to do the sacrifice, we could probably make it look like we're going to sacrifice Oakley with us being the way we are with those masks.
Oh, definitely.
Mhm.
And we're not afraid of blood. We are absolutely not
Oh
afraid of
yeah.
blood.
Oh no.
I mean, I'm definitely not afraid of blood because I
Definitely
covered
not.
myself in it.
Right?
You've covered yourself in fake blood.
Uh huh.
Uh,
Oakley's been
yeah,
covered in it a
definitely.
few times.
Yeah.
Hmm. Oh yeah. Actually one of my for this for this film I did and it was amazing. Like I actually thought about remastering it, and it's actually aged pretty well, um, which is really good because I was barely learning how to color grade back then. But anyways, the opening scene is me, and because I'll poke fun of myself all day long, is me poking fun of my asthma, like I'm running from zombies, and you only can hear the zombies because we couldn't afford a bunch of zombies. So anyways, I have an asthma attack, and I decide to just blow my brains out, and my stage blood tastes how dish soap smells.
Fact. I can
Uh huh.
verify that.
And so I and so like to do this effect, um, my friend hands me a vape we bought, and I ended up ruining the vape, but because I did a similar trick with someone else's vape for Fallen Souls, if you hit it and instead of inhaling, you just blow on it like it shoots smoke out, you know, and anyways, I actually would inhale for this, so I would take a swig of that stage blood and then hurry and try and get a hit out of this vape so I could blow smoke, so that way blood would be pouring out of my mouth and it would be like this blood smoke coming out too. And I did that a good 3 times, and I said it was about as miserable as you could expect because again, it tastes like dish soap, and you're trying to vape. You don't want to. Yeah, like you want to make sure you blow the smoke out, but it also can make you cough. Like it was just a really rough time, but I mean, I have fun. Like, I mean, I love making cameos, like, and stuff. Like, no joke. Like, if any of you guys are making, like, even a rom com, like, just like, like, have them having a heart to heart conversation, and just have me like in the very very main back getting like shanked by somebody. Like, I don't care.
All three of us can do that scene.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, be funny. Had the small town slashers make an appearance in uh,
Joe Schmo meets Sally.
why yeah.
Mhm.
There you go.
Well, like, I think I can kind of spoil a part, like a part of Invisible Scars where it's been reshot, so it doesn't happen. You know, this doesn't happen anymore. But when, like, during the original production, Al, who's our main actor, me, and one other person, the person who played the original incarnation of Dimitri, like, we're just going through Lexington, and there was this series that I actually got interviewed for. One of the characters was based on me, and our local, like, healthcare company, I think, KRCC. I think they're whatever they do a bunch of medical stuff. So
They're
I
here.
call them a healthcare company. But anyways, yeah, they were producing this series, and they were just like looking for extras, and I was like, "Hey guys, you want to show you want to do this?" And I'm like, "Yeah." So we're in several shots in the background, and but the funny thing is the guy playing Dimitri is wearing, because we were filming a murder scene. You know, like, he's wearing the exact same outfit he kills somebody in, and because I don't think I think the series is going to come out. I watched they invited me to a premiere to it, like, got it before the pandemic. But like, I haven't. I don't know if it's been out officially, but I don't. I'm not going to spoil anything. But anyways, there's like one character having like a really emotional moment, and you can see the original guy playing Dimitri in the background, like, wearing the kill outfit, and I I I remember there was like still blood on like, because I was like a short sleeve, but like like near the top, like he was we was like in Al's car, and he was like trying to scrub stage blood off of it like super fast, and you can't see it in the shot, so it worked, but it anyways, like, I was like, man, I was like, can you do like a voiceover, please, like, because like, this character's really sad, and you just see him in the background, like, because like she's not speaking, she's just having like a really emotional moment of reflection. But I was like, man, can you please do a voiceover and just make it funny, or where you're just like, man, if she's sad, now, wait until I murder half her senior class in a couple months, where he would end up going on a killing spree in my movie.
Yeah. Nice fun little Easter egg in there.
hmm Yeah, but just so yeah, that was just, but yeah, like, we was just driving by, and I saw that post like looking for cameos, and I'm like, why not? And that's how me. That's how a bunch of characters. Well, even though you literally even, but just to show like how much I care, like, whenever I'm like on someone's set, and I would say, like, when like I was helping like film this film, Wolf and I helped make, in Wolf stars in, called Gore. But both times I'm so I actually, I'll tell the Gore one too. But I'll tell the Gore one second. But yeah, when we was doing the KRCC series, I'm so respectful. Like, even though I was in the background, even though you can't focus on any of the pins I was wearing, I took two that would even have slight profanity. There's like, I have one that was like a ticket, and it's like, ticket to hell, admit one. So I'm like, yeah, just to make sure 100%, because like it's more of like a teen stuff, like like KRCC can be kind of weird about what stuff's okay and what isn't. I was like, well, I don't want to invoke hell like in the Bible Belt, So I took that off, and I took another one off that was kind a bit more offensive. It was literally like a skull middle finger. But anyway, so yeah, like even though you can't see my pins, I took that off because I'm like, well, I'm just going to be respectful, and and that ended up backfiring whenever I was helping with Gore. And also, again, if my doctor is watching this, she is going to come here and murder me. So if I go missing, you guys know what happened. So this is the same period when I'm supposed to be recovering. I'm not supposed to be out doing anything. Like I think she said I could maybe take like a couple hundred steps a day.
Mm.
And we were filming in this abandoned high school that was like full of like asbestos, just like had all caved in, real, really muddy, murky. And so again, if I go missing, you know why. Uh, but anyways, I did the same thing. Like I just showed up, and I was like helping out, and I was like, hey, do you want me to get some angles? And they're like, oh yeah, that'd be amazing. And I was like, oh, because like I was like, well, if I know you guys want me to help with filming, I would have brought my camera gear. And they're like, yeah, that would have been great. And I was like, but because like I don't, I've used someone's set as like a sign of respect. I don't want to go on their set with like all my camera gear and be like, oh, you should get this shot. You should do this. Like if I'm there to help, I'm there to help. Like I don't want to be one of those guys. So, but yeah, so that's one time it was appreciated, and one time it backfired horribly.
Mm.
That was a fun shoot too. Like I really
Which I'm
want that movie to
excited
come
for it to
out.
finally come out.
Yeah. Like oh man, the stories. And I would love to get Matt and Casey on here as well.
Oh yeah,
I'd love to get them all on here if we could.
mm,
Yeah.
oh yeah, I like that one. Whenever, which actually we was talking about crazy people earlier. There was one guy who kept harassing me trying to figure out when Gore was, even though I was present on 2 days of shooting. But anyhow, that was just something about it. But
Yeah, he
uh,
thought that you were like a producer of it.
yeah, which sorry, buddy, I can barely produce my own films. Anyhow, like I will say, whenever Gore is finally out, because I've watched a few of my films on stream, and I haven't gotten in trouble yet. And I'm going to test the waters with Gore too. And because, like, to be honest, I thought my first screen, which actually I need to do another screening of Fallen Souls because I kind of just did half of one. But the first screen I thought would have been, because that's the most that's the which for those of you listening, that's the one with the brutal death. That was the actress's idea, where it's a pregnant woman
Mm.
getting stabbed multiple times in the stomach. Again, her idea. Wait, did I tell that last time?
You
Yeah,
did.
you did.
Okay, I was going to say if I didn't, I was just going to sound like a complete psychopath. But yeah, but basically, I didn't. Where she was having a kid, I didn't want to bother her with film stuff, and she messaged me asking if she could die in my movie and if she could get her baby cut out, and I was like, Jesus Christ, that's more brutal than anything I could have thought of. Let's do it. But yeah, so that I was able to show Fallen Souls, and I've had no complaint. But like apparently, there's like certain rules on Twitch that will like instantly get you banned. Like you're not you like whenever you're playing Dead by Daylight, there's like this little killer named Victor, and you can't make a kick the baby joke, which is just a joke from South Park.
Yeah.
Why can't you make that joke?
I don't know. I it sucks because like what I love about Twitch is getting to be myself, but I know that because like there was a couple matches I did go up against the Twins, and I would and I would run up and I'd say, Geronimo, because in my heart I would have bet kick the baby,
Right? Right? I think it every time I see someone play twins. And
Right.
it's like right before they kick the baby, I'm like, let's play kick the baby. Kick the baby.
The the only thing I think of whenever I like see the twins is the one time, man, we were just dicking around with one of our friends and Oak went and bought the twins on Dead by Daylight just to fuck with him.
Yeah, he had a couple rough matches with the Twins before, and I mean literally we were playing at like 1 a.m. I think,
Something like that,
and
yeah.
yeah, and like as soon as one of our people, one of the people we were playing with said it's the Twins, he just went and hold on, I'm going to move away from the mic. He's like, just like at the top of his lungs in pure rage. And so the next night when we played, played Kill Your Friends, I bought them, and it's like I was running around as like the little baby guy, and like he was like, "Wait, you're playing twins?" And I was like, "Uh huh." And he's like, "Did you buy twins just to piss me off?" And without hesitation, I was like, "Yes."
I mean, you gotta have
Because
fun with it.
Most
because
definitely.
see, like that for me, like I love trolling people, but my and I don't mean griefing or harassing people. My thing of trolling is if they can smile or like at the absurdity of what you're doing.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Like
Uh
did I spend $5 just to mildly annoy him? Yes. Would I do
yes.
it again? Yep.
So when I was uh whatever you call it, streaming Dead by Daylight when I first started, my thing was playing as your neighborhood friendly bunny legion.
Hmm.
Uh but it was the bunny killer costume that I loved the most on the Legion. So I'd literally run around as the Bunny Legion, but I wouldn't try to kill people unless they absolutely deserved it.
Hmm.
I love
Like
doing that.
I would just chase them around just to chase them around.
Oh man, I would do like especially now, like there's some people that's popularized this, but so I don't want to be that guy, but I actually did do it first. I did the basement Bubba, but I did it in the most extreme way possible, where I just went and stayed down in the basement, and my goal was to just guard the chest. So if you guys didn't go in the basement, you win. And then I did another one where I just like purposely like, even amped up my reactions too, where I played Bubba, but I would run around the map, and whenever I would run into survivors, I would turn around, run away from them, and I bet, oh shit, man, and just take off running.
Yeah.
Stuff like that's the
'Cause-
best.
yeah, I mean, just stuff to really goof with them, which because like those matches are fun, but actually I don't think I told you guys I had to change my PSN name, right?
No.
I don't think so.
Oh yeah, no, except somebody got so salty over over a match because my Twitch name was KY slash master. My PS name was the same one. Someone got so salty that they sent me a death threat on Twitch over Dead by Daylight, and so now I have a completely different name.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead on the record and say this. If you take the game that seriously, fuck you. And then
Yeah,
second,
Exactly what I was thinking.
if Twitch, if you're not gonna take something like that seriously, fuck you too. Yes, I
yeah.
understand that I'm an affiliate and you could probably take that away, but like seriously, dude, come on. That's overstepping a few things. Do your
Oh yeah.
job.
Hmm. And but basically, it was just someone who was being a bad teammate. They blew like a bunch of gens, which if y'all ain't played, that's like vital. And Actually, well, I'll end this negative story with a really funny one about Wolf and I's first Dead by Daylight match. Anyway, so yeah, they were just blowing gens, and like I'd already got the exit gate, and the other two people escaped, and this guy just ran all the way to the end of the map and got downed, and I'm like, well, I'm not going to risk my life to save this guy who blew every gen we did together and just was just all around a nuisance. But yeah, he got so mad over that. But uh, anyway, again, to brighten the mood, Wolf was the one who helped me. Who helped me, start to, play Dead by Daylight, but didn't tell me anything about the game. And so, I thought it was more like super stealth focused. And I was like, oh boy, Bill from Left 4 Dead, I'm playing him. And and like as soon as it started, he was like, "Now if you see gens, try to fix them." And I'm like, "Okay, yeah, okay." I was like, "Huh, maybe that gives me like a boost or something." But I hid the entire time, and like our match was like an hour and a half, wasn't it?
Something like that, yeah, because we were on we were on Yamaoka Estate, and
Yeah.
I was Pyramid Head, and I literally did not see you like
Mm.
the entire match. You
Yeah.
hid so fucking good.
There was a couple times I was like slowly sneaking, and I am like, there was a couple times you ran by me, but I went to like hardcore in the stealth, and then Valerie like, Did you work on any gens? And I'm like, no, and that's what you're supposed to do. And I was like, oh, oops.
Yeah, and like you stayed crouched pretty much the entire game, and you didn't leave any scratch marks.
Uh
So I was
huh.
like, damn, he's gonna do good with this.
Yeah. So sadly, I peaked in my first match.
I kind of got away from it. It was after, well, kind of like what you were talking about, like people taking the game way too seriously and stuff like that. I'm just kind of like, fuck you, man. It's a game. I want to have fun. I don't want to
Yeah,
listen to you
the
bitch the
Dead by
entire time.
Daylight community is extremely toxic.
Yeah.
Uh, so one of the last times I streamed Dead by Daylight, I was Pinhead, and I love Pinhead as a killer.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
he's a lot of fun to play as, but this and one of my things is I don't like camping. It's just it is a tactic, but I don't like doing it. But these people made it like they would literally as soon as I hook it, all four of them right there at the hook, trying to unhook as I'm hooking them every single time. And then they're like, "Oh, you're camping." Afterwards, no. No, you just made it really easy.
Yeah.
Like I stopped hooking them at one point and just started downing them and they got bad. And it's like, are you really that petty that you're gonna call someone out for you being one stupid and like pretty much being toxic of a player, but then try calling out the killer who's just doing what he's supposed to do, and you're
Right.
making it easier for them to do their job? Yeah, no.
Yeah, I could, Bunny. I think you were watching me stream that like, one match when I was like trying to like when I was like when I kept being forced to camp because like they would just immediately rush to unhook each other.
Yeah, like I don't understand that tactic.
I don't
I
either. Like, it's
I
stupid.
I will say another one of my one of my funny things is how I did the most disrespectful thing to the killer in the world, and especially because I was still new to the game. I didn't know the killer could just grab you off the gen like he was being nice. Like he come up and hit me, and I just turned around and looked at him, and slowly turned back around because the gen was almost done, and just hit the button and finished the gen in front of him. And like he just walk the other way and like resume chasing the guy we played with. Like I was like, man, I was like the alpha male. I just disrespected him on his own turf.
He didn't even bother to follow up with a second hit. No,
No, he just I demoralized him.
and that's his fault. I
Mm.
mean, for not going through with it.
Right?
Yeah, I would have completely understood if he just went ahead and just murked me.
Oh yeah. I think one of the funniest things that I had done, and this is the only time I had ever, which I didn't really get a whole lot of messages from Dead by Daylight anyway, but one of the only times that I did, this is when I would only main Wraith.
Bing bong.
Bing Bong Boy. I there were two characters that dressed pretty much exactly the same, and I didn't know that. And I don't intentionally tunnel people and stuff, which not that I care, like it's a tactic, but like I play to have fun and whatnot. And I downed this one girl, and she was pretty well on her death hook. She was on her struggle phase and everything. Down to the last two survivors, right? This one guy that's just been like all cocky the entire match and stuff like that. I'm chasing him. He goes for the unhook. He unhooks her, or tries to unhook her right as I'm charging up an attack. So I'm gonna like hit him and things.
Mm-hmm.
He manages to unhook her and then dead hards away and lets her take the hit, and he runs off. And I'm like, So I down him, and I take him to the hatch. Then I go back to this other girl, pick her up, and I take her to the hatch. Keep in mind, she was at a hook. And she was like, what's going on? Like, she didn't offer to struggle or anything. So I take her to the hatch, and they're both sitting there looking at each other like, what's he doing? Then I pick the guy up and put him on the hook right next to the hatch, and just stand there and look at him until he just gets sacrificed and all that other stuff. He didn't even attempt to Kobe or anything like that. And then when the hatch opened, I turned around and looked at the other player and kind of shook my head like, yeah, you go ahead. So she went on through, and then they both messaged me, and she was like, "Why did you do that? You could have got a 4K." And I'm like, "Your teammate kind of screwed you over, man. I'm not gonna do that. Like, you guys have good luck on the rest of your games and stuff like that." And then the other guy, he messages me, and he was like, "What the fuck, man? Like, why did you? She was on her death hook. Why didn't you let me have hatch?" And I'm just like, A, don't fuck your teammates over. B,
Yeah.
don't unhook somebody when the killer is like pretty well on your back. GG, you all have a good night. Good luck on the rest of your matches.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. The community is absolute horse shit. And then a lot of stuff that like gets by on Twitch, I'm like, Jesus Christ, how's some of this stuff allowed to happen?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's absolutely crazy. But,
I will say I've been having fun again just because because like the first again, when I was new, I just finished watching Ash versus the Evil Dead.
yeah.
So I bought Ash and all the cosmetics, and it turns out, which is actually true to how he is, like in the movies and show, Ash is like the worst survivor to play by far.
He really is.
And so I've been doing all these matches as Ash, and I've actually got I think like a pretty solid build too. But it just brings a lot more fun, because it's the key is like as I said, I rarely take any match seriously. I mean, like I mean, we could legit be like, like having a shootout on Call of Duty, and I might be serious for like 5 minutes, and then I'll just start goofing off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh yeah, I already told the like. I know. I told it when we was filming. A really funny story that was like kind of about filming because it was just us goofing off. Like this one guy, Wolf and I know is literally God at Mortal Kombat.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I watched him like get online play competitive, and but anyway, so I was, finally after he's done like beating everybody in my apartment without an ounce of mercy, I'm like, all right, buddy, but you and me, let's go. And he's like, you played? And I'm like, nope. And so and so we fight, and of course he beats me, and I'm like, come on, buddy, because like this is also a story. A very similar thing happened like in a game of tennis. This is what I was trying to do, but yeah, so. Anyways, we did it, and like he beats me like 36 times in a row, and finally I'm able to beat him once. And I was like, let that be a lesson. There ain't anybody in this apartment that can beat me 37 times in a row.
Fact. Fact.
Yeah.
Fact.
That's funny.
Yeah. But I mean, like that, that's like the whole point of a game is to have fun. Like I was,
Yeah.
like
And
shit, like
I
oh
think
sorry,
the toxicity of some of the people in the fan base for games really ruins games. That and
Absolutely.
if the developers don't do anything good for them.
Yeah.
Because I mean, like, look at the nurse from Dead by Daylight. That was broken forever, and they weren't even fixing it. I
Yeah.
think
oh
they
yeah,
finally just fixed it.
yeah, they they found they did put in a couple nerfs for her. Yeah,
Yeah, but like the fact that like for so long they just let this broke and it was completely broken part be part of the game and then not fix it. I mean, it ruins the whole game when devs don't do it.
Oh
But
yeah.
then on top of it, the toxic players don't help either.
No, not at all. I couldn't tell you honestly the last time. I think the last time I actually streamed, I was doing a just chatting thing, but then like, you get busy and stuff like that. But I get questions all the time. Hey man, when are you gonna play this? When are you gonna play this on stream? And I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, are you gonna play Dead by Daylight again? I'm like, honestly, probably not. Like,
Yeah.
but that's just in general.
yeah. For me, I only have fun when I'm playing it with like with friends,
Most
and
definitely.
Yeah,
I have been making it, especially where they brought the like the ring there. Like I have been making myself play like a few like just a few matches, but again, just having fun playing as Ash and being like knowing that like I'm literally playing the worst survivor who is way too tall and like his groans are like I think like almost an entire it's like an entire decibel louder than any of the other survivors.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of those survivors like I think they purposely made to be like that.
Yeah, I mean, it is true to his character.
Yeah. Which they're supposed to be making a Evil Dead game. I don't know when it's supposed to release.
I'm
I am,
not sure, but I've seen it advertised a lot.
Yeah.
I'd love to play this. I really got into Ash versus the Evil Dead, even the like the episode where he's got that little puppet, the Ashy Slashy. I I looked one of those things up. Those things are like $400 for that puppet, and I almost bought that puppet.
Good God.
Jeez.
Yeah, and yeah, see, I get this as because like there's like a lot of people that's like, if I got bill, if I became a billionaire, I'd be buying, fancy cars, all this stuff. I would if I had all the money in the world, I would buy like an older looking two story wooden house and just decorate with a bunch of horror stuff.
Yeah.
Same.
I would definitely buy the land for our shop and build
Oh,
our
yeah.
shop the way me and Wolf have been talking about it for the Wolf's Den Prop Company.
Absolutely.
And it would definitely be filled with everything horror.
I think the fun part about that is like as we start to build more stuff and as we start to collect more stuff, a lot of people's probably gonna be like, "Oh my God, it's so cluttered. It's more and more cluttered." I would argue against that. I think it just becomes more and more cool as
Oh
time goes
yeah,
on.
most
Mhm.
definitely. So there is something I do want to build off of Elden Ring that I got last night.
Let's hear it.
It's a giant finger.
A giant finger.
Yes. I don't know if I can find a good picture of it, but there is a weapon and it's called the ring finger, I think.
I'm gonna look it up.
But Elden Ring has really got me into playing in like a lot of meme weapons.
Okay, I think I found it. Yeah. Yeah, that the ringed finger, it's just a giant finger.
Yes. Literally, it's just a giant finger.
That's pretty awesome, I'm not gonna lie. Hell yeah, let's build it.
Like just so we can be like uh walking around conventions and be like, "Will you put a ring on it?"
I mean, why not? I already want to build pretty much everything from Bloodborne anyway. Got to
Right?
get as many
And
FromSoft weapons as possible.
yeah, like and they do a lot of things in talk of Elden Ring and Bloodborne. So you remember that dual like pizza cutter looking weapon that you have?
Oh yeah,
In
the whirly
Bloodborne?
jigsaw.
Yes. They do a single blade version of that in Elden Ring as a kind of gesture to that.
Ooh, very nice. I'm gonna check that out too.
Uh but yeah, no, like I finally got that one yesterday as well. Uh I didn't really go far into the story with that, but like it's a lot of people wouldn't call them horror games, but there's some really horrific things in it. Like you could consider it almost a horror game.
Oh yeah, well it's like Bloodborne. It's not even classified as a horror game, where it's classified
Yeah.
as action RPG, but the horror in it is so effective. Like, there's people that say they went back and played games like some of the old Resident Evil games and Silent Hill, which not knocking those games at all, because they're
Oh yeah, I
fantastic.
mean they're really good games.
But they said they'll keep coming back to Bloodborne. It's the one game that they can't put down because every bit of it is just so on point.
Yeah, and I
I,
feel like that's a really big part of how From Software really built a great community.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, maybe some other time podcast we should talk. We should talk about some horror games he plays because I'm somebody I've played almost every single Resident Evil title, and the only one that ever like scared or I couldn't unnerved me was the remake of the original. And
Mm.
actually I'll say the director's cut of the original scared me because of that. Remember the basement theme?
Yeah.
Oh, which it's been a while since I've played them, so
I
I
was
would
talking
need
to
a
Wolf.
refresher.
I was talking to Wolf. There's like this track that's just like nothing but like trumpets. You know, it sounds like Charlie Brown's parents are having an argument.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll
yeah,
I'll send it to you.
yeah. Anyone listening, just look up Resident Evil basement theme. I will say
Oh,
that
geez.
the original did terrify me because of that theme. It was just so
So it was kind of like, and then like two
yeah
people going at it. Like that's
yeah
the one thing. Like I love like when people are like uh ranting on something I don't really care about and I'm not listening. I'll turn to my friend and do the whole Charlie Brown like adult teacher. Like all the adults have that same kind of voice, or it's
hmm Actually, there's a funny story about the guy who composed it because somebody did do like a retranscription, like it was meant to be like a synth track, and
yeah.
it actually sounds really terrifying when played on the right instrument. But
Hmm.
did you know like the composer for the director's cut was faking being deaf?
Wow.
Yeah, like he won like a bunch of awards and stuff for being this like godly deaf composer, and it turned out it was all a lie. So that means while recording this, he listened to them. Like he noticed they picked the wrong instruments. He had to listen to them just play these trombones over and over and say nothing and just smile as he died inside.
Wow.
That's
So
what you get for faking a disability, my dude.
Wolf, I think it's kind of funny. Like you said that Resident Evil director's cut, right?
Yeah,
And it shows a picture of it being a PlayStation game. But I'm
yeah.
thinking back, like, didn't a PlayStation controller have shock analog controllers? Like, was there a time there was not Dual Shock? Because it literally says now supports the Dual Shock analog controller on
I
the picture, and I'm like, just thinking, I'm like, wait, was there ever a time there wasn't?
I honestly can't say because I'm gonna admit this. Whenever I first started streaming, that was whenever we got our first round of stimulus checks, and I bought a PlayStation and Xbox online ship for both of them, and that was the first PlayStation that I have ever owned. So it was a PS4, and I bought it in 2020. So I have no clue, my guy.
Mm,
Uh, it I think I was Dad owned the original PlayStation, but I was deemed he was worried I would break it, so I never really got to play it. Which actually, to get back to what was the topic of the podcast, I have a really funny story about a PlayStation. If you if that relates to filming, if y'all want to hear it, because whenever we
oh,
shoot
go
some
ahead.
yeah,
Yeah.
whenever we shoot some scene, we're going to recreate this. But yeah, so our my first landlord, like when we was making Fallen Souls, had this kind of weird rule. Like the whole house was like spot on, like from the '70s. Like had a big fur carpet and everything, and it
Nice
also had
jag.
yeah, and like it also had this absolutely like nasty couch that nobody would sit on. Like nobody would even like put something over it and sit on. It was like that nasty.
Mm.
And uh, one of my actresses, Destiny, gets killed on that couch, and I was literally just like, "Hey guys, do you mind if I cover this in stage blood?" And they're like, "No," because they didn't care. Like it had been left over by the previous occupants of the house. Uh,
Yeah.
but anyways, he uh, he said you could smoke in the house. But if they ever do an inspection and caught ashes like in the carpet, they would charge you extra.
Yeah.
Which I guess I guess it was just so weird that it was just like such a it was just such a strange rule to me. Anyhow, because I figured it would just be like more simple to be like just don't smoke indoors. But anyway, so ashtrays became currency in that apartment, and
Kind of like
so
the bottle caps from Fallout.
Oh, it
yeah,
gets better. Trust me, it gets a whole lot
yeah,
better.
yeah. So, anyways, there's a night where they're just really really drunk in the living room. Somebody literally lived in a box in the living room. Like they literally had this big cardboard box and they would sleep in it. Like it there was supposed to be 3 people staying there, but by the time I left there was like 12.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, like it I'll be honest, it got to be a bit too much for me and I was like, I'm out guys, but it was a wild time. But anyways, yeah, there was a bunch of them drunk and they couldn't find an ashtray. So one of the guys took an original working PlayStation 1 and they turned that into an ashtray.
Wow.
And I can't remember what game it had in it, but it even had a game in it. They just took it, like, slung it across the room. And so to recreate it whenever we filmed the party scene, which I think just as a way to celebrate the film being done, I think it's going to be the last scene I shoot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, my nephew gave me a non working PlayStation because I'm not a monster, you know. But yeah, I've got an original PS1 here that we're just gonna, and I don't think anyone in the film smokes anymore. So I'm gonna I'm actually gonna buy cigarettes and light them just to let them run out, just to start putting like a bunch of ashes and stuff like in the so yeah, so there is because it's that's there are so many things and invisible scars that people tell me like that's just too crazy. That's so wild, and I'm like, well, no, that's based on a real story that actually happened. And there's like
Yep.
certain bits of dialogue in the movie that people are just like, that's just that's too much. And I'm like, well, it was actually said.
Oh
Based on
yeah.
true stories.
Just know that even though you're not a monster, the fact that it happened to the first PlayStation in the apartment,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
someone listening to this right now is absolutely having a conniption.
Oh
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
You know that.
And I don't blame you.
Especially like if it's someone who's like a complete video game like connoisseur who like has every video game system and everything and collects them. They're gonna be like, "Oh my god, you did that to that poor PlayStation."
Uh-huh. What's even worse is like a few weeks before that happened, like, because the guy who owned it was talking to me about it, and apparently it was in such pristine condition that it was worth like an extra $40 like online.
Oh, now if it was in pristine condition, it'd be worth more. But
I
yeah,
I I know, I mean like $40 more than like what they were going for at the time.
yeah,
Like it was that like in that good shape, and so that just to me it makes the story even funnier. I mean, if it was my PlayStation, I'd be mortified. But the keyword,
it
if it
wasn't
was
yours.
mine, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and the and then um. I don't know if you want to tell me more film stories, but I got another, and then I do want to make sure they know about Somerset sometime too.
You know what? Go ahead and tell the one about Somerset. We've been talking about like revisiting that for a while, so have at her, man.
Uh, Oh well, I was going to let you. I was going to tell the story about like how I got like the weirdest message I had to send someone I had archival footage of.
Oh, okay. So yeah, okay. I
You
think
know,
we'll do another round of stories.
yeah, okay. So, um, some of the scenes in the movie and I tried to get as many people like that I filmed back then in the movie as possible, and a lot of them were involved in like a lot of behind the scenes ways because like a lot like none of my film not not like none of them were really actors, but like it's extra hard to like ask like random people to try and play themselves in a movie.
Yeah.
But so I was just using art, so I decided to use archival footage. Like I have a fight that broke out that ended up becoming a taser battle over a game of Monopoly, and everyone in the video is dead sober too. Is the crazy thing. Um, I've got one guy showing a magic trick that I have no idea how he does it, where he literally took my razor sharp kitchen knife and like stabbed himself in the arm and like it didn't bleed or leave a mark. And you can see him on the video, like he's pushing down hard with that thing too. Um, but anyway, so there's this guy. I have two different videos of him lighting his testicles on fire.
He does.
And
Yeah,
the
I remember you
the
showed me that.
yeah. So the first one's a wide angle. It's actually a group at the skate park, and he just walks up and just starts doing it. And the second one happened like almost a year after that was shot because we was talking with somebody, and he was like, "Well, I lived a pretty crazy life," and I was like, "Well, yeah, I've never seen anyone light their balls on fire before." And the other guy's like, "Wait, what?" And he's like, oh yeah, that was a good time." And that guy's like, "There ain't no way." And he just looked at me and said, "Get your camera out." And he did it again right then and there. And so when I'm just going over crazy footage, I'm like, well, that's one of the craziest things I've ever seen, you know.
Oh,
And so
most
I
definitely.
and so I messaged him, and keep in mind, like I haven't talked to this guy, since 2017. Well, I don't know. I mean, we've seen each other, and we're like, hey, how's it going? But I don't really keep in touch with. But anyways, I'm just like, hi, how's it going? I have a very weird question to ask you. You see, I'm making this movie based on 2014 Whitesburg growing up here, and I'm using a lot of archival footage. And would you mind if I use the video of you lighting your testicles on fire? I understand this is a very weird question, and because I mean, it is like it's a very weird thing to ask somebody. And he wrote back within like 15 minutes, like, yeah, man, use whatever you have.
Oh, nice.
And so
So
that
that
is
is
in
how
the
the legend became.
yeah. So that is in the that is in the movie, and like a lot of and I actually like, I've been showing rough cuts, of like select scenes, and people were worried that I had too much like feminine nudity in the movie. And I'm like, well, I'm all opportunity. I mean, the intro has someone lighting their testicles on fire, and they're just like, wait, what? Before they could even process what I said, I just throw it over there and showed them. Because it is very hard to make me uncomfortable,
Yeah.
and so if people are comfortable doing it on camera, I don't care to I don't care to film it.
Very true. Very true. And like even with like the nudity and all that other stuff, the way you present it is it's not like overly sexualized.
Yeah.
Like it's just like, hey, here it is.
Oh yeah, because I mean, even when I do like photos and stuff, like I'll admit I don't know how to pose models, as a sexual or anything, but for me, my thing of doing nude pictures is that it would be like almost or just as interesting of as a portrait if they were wearing like a big fur coat.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's the whole story how somebody lights his testicles on fire in the movie.
Oh.
I love it. Do you have one that you would like to share again, Bunny?
Not that I can think of right now. I mean, we're gonna have more stories to tell later on and everything, especially with this weekend coming up.
Oh,
I
definitely.
can't wait for that.
Same. But I think before we hop off, I'll tell the one cursed Somerset story. So we were going to shoot scenes for this current movie, actually, Invisible Scars, and we went up to shoot with one of our friends in Lexington. And Lexington's about 2 hours away from here, maybe.
About 2 hours. Either 2:30 or 2:45, depending on traffic.
Yeah. So we were going up there to shoot with her and all that, and this was on Sunday, and I had to work the next day. So like, okay, we'll go up there and shoot for a little bit, and then I'll be back in time. And at the time, I was using Apple Maps, and Apple Maps, if you watch this, you're probably gonna get mad at me. And as far as I'm concerned, that's fine. I'm still mad at what happened this night. But so Jackson, Kentucky. It's in Breathitt County. That's like the halfway point, roughly. It's like the go-to point, like to Lexington and coming back. We'll get gas and everything there. So we're mapping it on the way back, and Apple Maps reroutes us to Jackson County. And I type in Jackson, Breathitt County, Kentucky. And it reroutes us to Jackson County, which still, in the grand scheme of things, is not that far away from my house. It's a little bit out of the way, but not that far. Somehow or another, it reroutes us through Somerset, which is 2 fucking hours away from my house. I get back to my house at like 4 o'clock in the morning, and Oakley and I, it was a trip. We're mad. It's kind of like the first little rendition of like any kind of podcast. We just pull up the voice memos and start roasting Apple Maps. But on the way back home, we come through Leslie County and we get stopped by Kentucky State Police, and we don't know what's going on. So he's like, "What are you boys doing coming through here?" And I'm like, "We're just heading back home from Lexington, and we've been shooting all day." He was like, "This is through Somerset," and I'm like, "Yeah." We mapped it. We were trying to go to Jackson. It rerouted us through Jackson County, and somehow we ended up here. And he was like, "That doesn't make any sense." And I look at him like, "I know, man." And he was asking, "Can I see what you got in the trunk?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure." So I open up the trunk for him, and we've got all of our film gear and everything in there. He's like, "Oh, so you boys were filming?" I'm like, "Yep." He goes up and starts to talk to Oakley. He's asking him for his ID and all that other stuff, and Oakley can't find his ID. And then all of a sudden, he spouts out, "My name is Oakley. I was born on this day at this hospital. I'm in this years old. Here's my social security number." And the cop was just like, I believe you, man." And then he was like, "Well, the real reason I stopped you guys is apparently like, I probably shouldn't say that on the podcast, but anyway,
Yeah, it's some sensitive. Like there was a reason he was watching people come through there that late at night.
But he was a real cool dude. With it, he was probably just as perplexed about the whole situation as we were. But yeah, I get back home after I drop Oakley off at like 4 o'clock in the morning, and I'm sure I pissed everybody at work off because we had a group chat, and I sent them all a text. And I'm like, "Hey guys, I just got back home. I left Apple Maps a really nice review to read. I'm gonna be late coming in tomorrow. I love y'all." And just let it go at that. And then explained it the next morning. They were like, "Good Lord." They're like, "Is your review still up?" And I'm like, "I think so." And I looked and I went and showed them the review, and it was taken down within a week. So it wasn't.
Of course, they don't want to show the bad reviews.
Yeah, it wasn't a nice one. I roasted them pretty bad.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, that's what you get for rerouting us all that way.
Mm.
But we have a lot more fun stories to tell. I don't know. I barely even knew where to begin. This one, the only one that I knew that I wanted to tell was like the whole why I disappeared from acting for a while, because there's been a lot of my friends that have asked me about that, and it's not that I want to keep saying it to like this person and this person and this person and this person. Like, I'll just put it in a video and you guys can watch it.
Yeah.
Mhm. And see, I will add to the Hydra, like the whole, like the reason Somerset is cursed is that was when we realized we were going, because like at first, like, man, it is really taking us on this detour. We're going down these real weird roads, and um, I'm actually going to ask everyone watching the podcast to pray to whoever, whoever you worship, anything, that because we will have to be going through Somerset to get to Horror Hound.
Yeah.
But on that road from Lexington, wherever we were going, there was literally this like jet black barn, and I mean jet black, like not faded, like it must have been freshly painted. And it was actually a church, and it had this big bright gold cross on it. And right across the street was a sex toy shop with extremely crude drawings all over it. And
Mm.
it was like the most surreal thing I like saw. I was like, man,
Yeah.
Now that's a sex shop that can sell stuff.
uh huh,
Like,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. See, what was the joke I was making about it? Like, but buy used and get 20% off if it's been used more than 5 times, 40%.
I think that's what you said.
Yeah, because I mean I it actually where I was playing Fallout a lot, it feels like if you walked in, I could immediately on the left screen corner of like what you're watching back, you now have an STD.
Yeah, like it was
Or
shady.
yeah, you take rad damage as soon as you walk in. But yeah, that's also not. I do. I hope so. I hope actually maybe like whenever we're at the hotel and safe, because I don't want to jinx it and listen to the recording first, because who knows, like Somerset is just this cursed town, and we make fun of it a lot in our films just because of that one incident. And like it's also weird because like I have family who live there. And so like one time I was just jokingly bad mouthing Somerset, and they just gave me like they shot me a real weird look, and I was like, "Oh yeah, not for real, guys,"
Yeah.
But yeah, that's when we realized we were going the wrong way. It was like we saw the big "Welcome to Somerset" sign.
And that's almost in Tennessee. Because Somerset, I'd like to believe, is right on the border.
I know it's really close to the border to like to Cincinnati.
Oh, I might be thinking. So there's another Somerset, right? And it's Somerset, Tennessee. And it's right on the border of Kentucky.
Dear
Oh.
God, they're multiplying.
I completely was thinking that Somerset, not thinking that there's one closer to Cincinnati.
Oh God, there's more, and then Wolf, you said there's also one in Pennsylvania too.
There is. There is. I was actually up there. I was driving around and we saw it, and it said something about Somerset. I was like, motherfucker. And then the person that I was with, he was like, what is it? I'm like, it's a long story. Don't even ask.
What what's crazy is on Fallout, one of the first named rewards you get is a pistol called the Somerset Special.
It's
Oh,
following
jeez.
us. It's following
And
us.
yeah, and as soon as I got it, because you can sell it in this game, I immediately discarded it. It was not worth selling.
Absolutely not. But I think that'll be pretty good for this this second episode. We had a lot of fun stories, a lot of nice little. Well, we went down a few rabbit holes, like with Twitch and Dead by Daylight and all of those stuff.
Yeah.
But not a bad
Uh-huh.
second episode, and I think it went pretty good.
Most
yeah,
definitely.
And by the
I'm really excited. I'm really excited to see it, and I really loved hearing your guys' stories, and I
same.
love and like a huge thank you to like anyone listening, like anyone who shares support is like I love you with all my heart.
Yes, you guys are the absolute best. Thank you all so much.
Oh, most definitely.
And
And definitely, if people want to share their stories and don't want to be a guest, they can send us their stories, and we'll definitely share the stories with them.
oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And as for this episode, by the time you guys are listening to it, we will actually be in Horror Hound. So lots of fun
Dun,
stuff
dun,
coming.
dun. No spoilers will be allowed
Oh no.
since we won't record till after.
Yeah, we'll record like at the exact midpoint of our trip. So
Just pray for us because we will. If you don't hear from us, we're stuck in Somerset.
yeah,
Just know we have vanished into the world.
we went into the ether, which is somewhere in Somerset.
Imagine if Dead by Daylight was like based out of Somerset.
Oh God, I believe it.
I would not be surprised if they legit just released a new map that was just called Somerset.
I believe it. I absolutely believe it.
Yeah. There's like this meme, you know, like how you can get like how like when you log on sometimes about reward, your account has been awarded this, or you know you received a reward.
Yeah.
Like there is a meme that was like you received a reward, your account has been deleted, you're free now, you're free.
Why, yeah.
You figured out the secrets.
I think that would be funny. Or just do it as an April Fool's joke just to troll people so they'll freak out.
Uh-huh.
But we will see you guys next week at noon on Friday with the actual Horror Hound podcast. So that's going to be a whole lot of fun. Hope to see you guys there. And until then, you guys be good.